Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And a good morning to all, one and all. Not quite sure why that, well, never mind. Susan, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are my dulcet tones?
They sound good this morning, actually. So far,
Oh, good.
Yeah, so far I sound relatively okay, too. I don't know what's going on, but there you go.
Well, I know what's happening with me. Ernie helpfully woke me up at 3:30, so I've been ready and waiting.
Well, that's interesting because I've been up since 3:30 too. Of course, that's not the same 3:30, but yeah, just totally wide awake. So I'll probably crash midway through the show. Oh God! And I just read this quote. Well, where was that? Because I usually sleep okay, and I think you do too. But here is Iris Murdoch, the novelist, saying, "There is a gulf fixed between those who can sleep and those who cannot. It is one of the great divisions of the human race." You know what? I cannot. Are we off again? What happened? Our little technical thing here is going crazy again. I really feel for people who literally cannot sleep, and I know they're out there. That would be torture. Really,
it is torture because you're just lying there. I mean, with your mind going nuts.
I know, but I would.
I mean, on the nights that it happens to me, I'm actually sort of good at just lying there, you know, and trying not to think about anything.
Right. Because, I mean, the minute you start stressing about it, you're dead. So, yeah, I just sort of accepted it. I ended up reading the Wall Street Journal and taking care of some email, and then I think nodding off for about 45 minutes or so. But I don't know. I feel out of it now, if you want to know the truth. Anyway, there's stuff to talk about. I want to. I almost choked. He's just not worth it. Those are the words.
What were those words? I don't understand those words.
Well,
is not the country worth it? It's not about him. It's about the country.
Well,
I think that accent is on the wrong syllable. I mean, I understand your concerns. I share them. I share those same concerns.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what happens if and when he loses the election. I think the person, I've been worried about this since day one, and every time I hear someone on that idiot box say what I've been thinking, it scares the crap out of me. So, this guy's, it was Michael Cohen. It was Michael Cohen that says, if you expect to see an orderly transfer of power, you're nuts.
Yeah. If he were any other man, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we've never seen so many impeachable crimes. I mean, they come at fast and furiously. But I understand her reticence because it could.
He should have been gone by now.
Well, first of all, here are the two things. It's an empty gesture, ultimately, if the impeachment does not result in conviction, which it yes, and it will not, given the makeup of the Senate. So why the empty exercise? We needn't worry that he'll go down in history as the most loathsome and ill-equipped human being to ever occupy the White House. But it won't be any quicker than the 2020 election, I don't think.
No, it won't. It won't.
So
it
what
won't.
is...
I mean, I agree. There's no real point. And as long as they keep torturing him, I'm fine with it.
Right.
I want them to get some work
Yeah.
done, and I want them to keep torturing him. I want them to make him I want them to give him diarrhea. I want him miserable. That's all. You know, let me digress for a second. I went to see Simon Wiesenthal,
Nazi Hunter. Oh, and Susan, I mean, so I want to just...
And I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be in Pittsburgh for 3 days, lots of shows. I absolutely recommend it. It is a good 90 minutes exactly, no intermission, of really good theater. Beautifully written, really nicely performed. But in the end, what he was doing, because he had 22,000 folks he was looking for.
Wait,
he only found 5% of them.
Okay, Simon Wiesenthal had a list of 22,000 Nazis he wanted to bring to justice, and he only
criminals.
Yeah.
And he only got 1,000 some of them. And anyway, but what he did accomplish was making sure that none of them
slept,
spent a restful night for the rest of their lives.
That's
because
true.
He was out there chasing them. And that's what I want us to do to Trump. This wasn't really a... That's what I want to Wiesenthal him.
I think he's so unlike a normal human being that I don't know that we can. First of all, he doesn't sleep much anyway. We understand, right? That could have to do
with all that Adderall.
Somewhat with all the Adderall he's snorting, as far as we understand. I don't know. I understand her point, and the problem is, again, doing anything that might create sympathy for him. And I guess they're concerned because of, what happened when the Republicans went after Clinton. Man, I mean, who would have thought he'd not only emerge from that with a higher approval rating, but that he, in fact, would win re-election. And he did because the country was disgusted by the spectacle of Republicans coming at him. Now, obviously, they were coming at him for having a sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky and lying about it, which does not rise to anywhere near.
No, and at the same time, the country, economically and in just about every other way, was doing really, really well, and people didn't want to mess that up either. Not illusory gains, not some people doing well and other people struggling and paying for the other people who are doing well. Everybody was growing majorly.
But I really think, Susan, that when they put impeachment in the Constitution, they were thinking about a president like this.
Well, who else?
Right. Consorting with the enemy, doing the bidding of the enemy, in for his own gain.
I mean, did you read the article about Mrs. Yang and the erstwhile owner of the massage spa parlor who sells access to Mar-a-Lago,
right,
the Chinese businessman, to Trump? I mean, no, that alone, any one of these things would have brought down the last every president.
But
I don't understand where we are. I don't understand how half of the people, or more than half of the Senate, is willing to prop this monster up. And I want to know, who else can we bring down? How many other people can we punish for breaking our country? Because I'm really pissed off.
Well, if you're going to take down Trump, the guy I'd like to go after, and I don't know if there's any way to do it, the guy who needs to be taken down.
streets naked.
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, McConnell gets marched through the streets naked.
Oh, now that's punishing the country. That is not punishing.
Well, we don't have to look.
Well,
I'm just, that's metaphorically speaking. I want revenge in the most.
But Susan, if you sat through Wiesenthal, you know that that's not what motivated him. Justice.
Well, just a little bit.
But yeah, Michelle Goldberg talking about this massage parlor owner selling, making money, getting Chinese business people into Mar-a-Lago and in to see the president. And then, can you imagine, there she is, cheek and jowl with the president, the day, watching the Super Bowl, after Kraft had been pleasured in her former place.
Oh, no, fake news. She sold that particular parlor.
Yes, she sold the particular parlor. But it was already had the attention of cops when she owned it as a place of illicit sexual activity. So there is this scumbag. You've got so many violations of the Constitution going on right there at a Super Bowl party with the president. And we don't live in a normal time because that would, under normal circumstances, be and because there's a tsunami of this kind of thing with Trump, we don't even respond to it. I haven't talked about that yet.
There is no security. There is no more security.
Well,
there is no national security. Build a wall. Get rid of the president. That's the deal.
That is true. That is true. The biggest threat to our national security is sitting in the goddamn White House. And, there is no doubt about it. In fact, Michelle Goldberg, talking about this, said today, news that the owner of a chain of dubious massage parlors was brokering foreign access to the President of the United States has the potential to be a sex scandal, an intelligence scandal, and a financial scandal all at once. And there are profound national security.
He's such a talented guy.
What?
He's such a talented guy. Trump hits the trifecta of felonies.
And not only that, Mother Jones has reported that this woman also has membership in two groups here in the United States that are tied to the Chinese government. So everything she knows and knew and her access, the Chinese government was very well aware of. It's beyond belief. It's really beyond belief.
In the old spy movies where they'd send in Mata Hari because men are so stupid that they'll tell national secrets while they're screwing some broad. Okay, so there it
is. They try the Chinese, the Saudis,
it's
the
like
Russians.
Page 1 of the spy book.
I know.
Ugh.
It's really mind-boggling. So I understand, and maybe, Pelosi, this started with her saying, he's just not worth it. In a way, that might be Pelosi just trolling him. What a thing to say.
I'm sure that's part of it, but the rest of it is, and in this, I absolutely, think she's right. In any normal circumstances where, the gravitational pull was still exerting on the Earth, he would have been gone. Any one of these things would have disappeared, every single president before him.
Right.
There is a concerted effort to prop this man up and keep him there, such that I'm beginning to wonder who else is working for foreign governments.
Oh, wow. I think they're just working
really,
for themselves.
folks,
I think this is about the Republicans thing, sticking with him.
They're only thinking about themselves. But if they're so stupid as to not understand that they're only thinking about themselves is tantamount to working for foreign governments in this case. Duh.
Well, if the Mueller report comes out, and it will soon.
Well,
apparently.
It will come out.
And don't you get the impression that Pelosi might have some sense of what might be in it? I think she's trying. If there's no slam dunk case where the president is clearly colluding, she probably doesn't want to do this because there's no.
She doesn't want to do it. And everybody is going to be disappointed, Lynn. People are going to be disappointed because Mueller was limited to a very narrow thing, and all this other stuff that's flying out of there is flying out of there because it's not within his purview.
Yeah, but those federal prosecutors and the AG in New York, Southern District of New York.
That's fine.
They'll get him. They will get him on all kinds of stuff.
I didn't say that Mueller wasn't handing them the info. I'm saying that it's not in his report.
No, I agree. And, of course, we're told we might not even see his report.
No.
Which is so unbelievable. So unbelievable.
We will.
So I'm sure this is going to be a lot of howling, and I've already seen tons of the howling about what she said because there is such an appetite to get this guy, to get this scum. But if it's going to ultimately harm our chances of winning in 2020, you don't do it. The thing is, that's a judgment call. I don't know. You don't want to create sympathy for him. And you also don't want to be able to have it ultimately be an empty gesture, as it turned out to be with Clinton.
Yeah, a hollow threat. Yeah.
So, I don't know. And yet, there was never a president more impeachable, worthy of it, than this. And that we don't.
It's like you don't even have to present evidence. It's just there.
Unfortunately, though, you do. So, I don't know.
I know.
So
did you hear about the identical twins where one's a boy and one's a girl?
No. How can they be identical?
Aha! Well, it's a very rare thing, and it's called size conjugal twins, something or other.
Okay.
But anyway, apparently it's what happens when one egg is fertilized by two sperm, and the egg splits in one amniotic sac. So you think you're having identical twins, but you're actually having, as it turns out, because I did DNA testing, somewhere more like 3/4 identical, because one's a perfectly okay boy and one's a perfectly okay girl.
Do they look exactly alike?
Well, they look pretty much alike because in this case they shared 100% of their mother's DNA, but not equal amounts of the father.
One of them has more of the father's DNA? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just was suppressed. Yeah, one had more than the other, but they each were, created by their own separate sperm from the dad.
Whoa, he had some frisky
One egg.
sperm. Yeah, okay.
Will you tell me about it?
Yeah, man, those are, wow. Whoo-wee! Overachieving sperm there. We have a caller, Susan. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, there you are. Okay. Hi, this is Dave from Washington.
Yeah. Hi, Dave.
Impeaching Trump. The process has begun because the first thing you have to do is investigate. And we've got, judiciary, intelligence, oversight, all kinds of investigations going on. So it is in the process. But the thing is, we have to get 20 Republican senators to agree to remove him.
Yeah.
And that is going to take a smoking gun and the whole 9 yards. And
No, it's going
that's
to take
not
a
gonna
smoking howitzer. I mean, it's
Right.
A smoking gun might not even get you 20 Republican senators.
Right, and that's a condemnation of the Republicans in
Oh.
Congress, of nothing else.
Right.
So what you do then is you need either 20 Republican senators or 0.01% of the population. So instead of laying this information out for the Senate to judge, they're going to lay it out for the American people. The election's only
Right.
18 months away.
Right.
It could take that long to get a trial.
That's right.
In the Senate if
That's
they
right.
were to go the impeachment road.
That's right.
So
And if the
lay
Which
people,
only
all
nets
this
us
stuff out.
10.
and if the people
It
so
only-
hungry,
It only nets us
you,
10.
you know, you can know that people are so hungry to get him. But you're right. In terms of timeliness, I don't know that there's any difference here. And in terms of historical import, this guy, whether he's impeached and convicted or voted out of office and then gone after by every prosecutor in New York State and the state of Virginia and D.C. and ends up in jail, the outcome will be the same. He will be shamed. He will go down in history as the horror that he is.
With any luck, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon on January 20th, 2021, after he's been replaced and he's out of office for an hour, he's going to be indicted. He's going to have a dozen indictments filed against him at that time. Whether or not you can indict a sitting president, we don't know, but you can certainly indict an ex-president. And the minute he's out of office, and it is going to happen someday, that minute, he is going to suddenly become, indicted person number whatever
Can
the
you
heck.
see him, walking out of he wouldn't even show up at the inauguration of the Democrat who's going to beat him, right?
Right.
I mean, do you see
And
him?
then in handcuffs going up the other side of the Capitol building. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be great? Wow.
Well, we can
That
dream.
would be very, very cool. And then, all of his money is going to go to divorce lawyers because, she's going to take
Love
that
him.
kid and run to Switzerland
Yeah.
and, live anonymously. Defense lawyers, RICO violations, penalties, taxes, fines. He's going to end up with nothing. But you know what? When you live in Attica, you don't really need that much, so he should be okay.
Well, from your mouth to God's
God's
ear,
ear.
that's all I can say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. Bye. Oh, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Oh, yike. I mean,
No, Democrats no longer have sexual fantasies. We have these kind of fantasies. They're much more arousing.
But we've got to keep ourselves grounded in the fact that we
got to win an election.
Yeah. And speaking of that,
And I think what's his name, Buttigieg, is it is.
no, I want to. You just said it with no problem. I can't
watched
say his
him. I
name.
watched
Buttigieg.
the CNN. Yeah, go ahead.
No, nothing. People are
I
loving
watched
this
the
kid.
I watched the CNN. I happened on it with Mom, so
So you
we
watched
sat
him.
and listened to him. Yeah, and he very, very smart. I mean, Mother exclaimed several times, "This guy's smart." But what I thought was smart is how he took all the things that people wouldn't like about him and turned them into leads with the fact that he is married to a man, and then works into the conversation how deeply that his prime motivation it comes from his love for his spouse, and blah 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 blah, and making him just like reminding him that he's just like us. He's just maybe a little better, but he's just like he was very, very smart. And didn't mind his policies either, but I was mostly impressed with his handling of himself. That said, I know I'm an old lady and all that, but I really do think that experience and a little life's experience counts for a lot. And I know he's been the mayor, and I know that he's been in the military, and he's probably had a lot more useful life experience than a lot of the people out there. So I'm not necessarily saying this about him. I'm trying not to be ageist. But I do think living through enough stuff helps one in one's thinking process. That's all.
Okay, so speaking of living through stuff, I just realized that the last time you were on, or maybe not the last, but we were both giving Ilhan Omar a pass on her.
Yeah, now she's running out of tickets from me.
She is.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. But, if she doesn't get smart enough to let someone vet what's coming out of her mouth before she comes out, or let her just talk at random for hours and say, no, you can't say that either. No, you can't say that either. No, you can't say that either. I'm beginning to get a little exasperated with her.
I'm thinking she needs to, also, shut up. She's a freshman congressperson. She should listen more and I want them all to get the fuck off Twitter. That's another thing that Trump has done, putting everybody out there on Twitter. God, so the best tweeter wins? Is that what we're going to get? That's what the best tweeter wins. Shit. Okay, I just wanted to know because I'm having the same. I haven't given up on her, but man,
I'm not going to, and I do think that part of it is her in it's getting all wound up in her religion and her style of dress that enforces her religion and is in respect of her religion, and that these things and that there are tons of men that say the most despicable anti-Semitic things sitting in both chambers of our Congress. And we just sort of roll our eyes and go, that's a really awful guy. But they don't get what she's getting. And I do think that those two things need to be separated.
Well, I don't know if there are anti-Semites all over the Congress, do you think?
Well, there's a lot of men that say that make the same, coded references to Soros,
well, that's true.
To people financing stuff. To people,
Trump. Trump is the one who put out. Remember the pictures of
Trump
Hillary
is number one of them
with a Jewish star and money all over, in the background.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it goes and is constantly and goes before. Well, we don't have to talk about the number of times he said it, which is why it's so amusing when he tries to tell Jewish Democrats that Democrats are all anti-Semites. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Because we want to go over with the Republicans, the likes of you and Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller and the neo-Nazis that you think are such nice people? Oh, yeah, I'll feel real at home in your party.
Yeah, well, there again, I don't know. Jesus. Okay, let's change the subject slightly. Front page New York Times today, a piece that I so agree on. Cuomo, governor there, wants to legalize recreational marijuana in the next term there. But it looks as if it might not even come to a vote, and the thing that is holding it up is interesting. It is people who are overwhelmingly in favor of decriminalizing marijuana. It is, in fact, the black lawmakers in Albany.
Oh, yeah.
But they are saying we will not vote for this measure the way it is currently constituted. It has to have in it that a big share of the $3 billion a year that people are going to pocket from legalizing marijuana has got to go into black hands or into the black community.
Well, do you blame them? They jailed black men for
They're
decades
still
for
sitting in
selling
jail.
this stuff to white people. They're still doing it
Yeah.
to white people, and now white people have bought up all of the futures in marijuana, and they're going to legalize it and shut black people out. They go to jail. We get rich. I think that's the way it works.
That's
right.
the way it has worked. And there have been in all the other states that have already legalized, there have not been provisions like this. And the New York black legislators are saying, look, we can see what's happened in all these other states, and black people are shut out down the line. One of the reasons you get shut out is in order to get one of these, extraordinarily lucrative licenses to either grow the stuff or to open a shop with the stuff, you've got to have a ton of money up front. You've got to have the real estate. You've got to have you have to have investors. And that is something, obviously, that a lot of black people don't have because of the historical disparities in access to capital in this country, racial disparities. So I think this is right.
It's also because the tobacco companies have been planning for this for a very long time, and they've sort of locked up a lot of stuff, and a few other wealthy guys.
Like John fucking Boehner, who as Speaker of the House, shepherded through many a bill that put many black men and women in jail for selling little teeny bits of marijuana, and now he's gallivanting around the country telling white audiences, buy this stock, you can be investors, you can get rich off of marijuana sales. So when white people do it, it's like one smart way to get rich. Black people do it, it's a way to go to jail for the rest of your lives. And God. In Colorado alone, black entrepreneurs who wanted in once it was legalized said that they were essentially banned from ever getting licenses. There were a million little things that locked them out, including that some of them had, in fact, been arrested in the past for selling marijuana, right? Black people, it says here, make up just a handful of the thousands of cultivation or dispensary license holders in Colorado.
I have to say, if one of the things that has to go hand in hand with this wholesale legalization of marijuana, which, by the way, needs to be done on a federal level really quickly, because at this point, all we're doing is teaching disrespect for the law.
Right.
And, I mean, that's really stupid. When you have a law that is, with approval, this widely ignored, and now through state laws is officially widely ignored, you need to fix it on the federal level, because it's a terrible lesson to be teaching. Okay, that's number one. Number two, any law that does this has to go hand in hand with an expunging of the records of anyone that has a marijuana-only related offense.
Right.
Period.
Right. This is obscene. I've been screaming about it before, but it's obscene. Actually, in California, some of the cities in California have been trying to create after the fact. I mean, California has obviously, legal recreational pot. Since that's been instituted, some cities, including Oakland, have instituted policies. Oakland, for instance, requires at least half of all licenses to go to people with cannabis-related convictions who fall below an income threshold. So they are offering this chance to people, to the black dealers who did it. And I love that. I love it. On the federal
Yeah.
scene,
I mean, it just you can't be that. You can't. You it's just too obvious. You can't do that.
Cory Booker has introduced a bill to legalize pot nationwide.
Right.
And
Right.
some of the co-sponsors are other would-be presidential candidates. And his bill does include provisions for job investment in minority communities, which is not quite the same thing. But, yeah.
Well, and I don't blame him. I mean, why do we no more want to relegate investment in the African American community to only drug-related things? I mean, you want to just invest in the community.
Yeah.
In all the possibilities that are open to all people, theoretically.
Theoretically being the word there. Suze, just a sec. I got to let people know that until March 30th, there's a whole bunch of restaurants in Pittsburgh that are offering a special multi-course prefix. How do you pronounce that? Menu.
I always call it prefix, yeah.
Prix-fix. Why do we do that? All of a sudden, the French go nuts because of English words coming into their language. And how come all of a sudden we say prefix? Why don't we just say a multi-course fixed-price menu? Why don't we do that?
Well, there you go. You just did it.
And a bunch of restaurants are doing it, and it's all and there's multiple courses, and no price is over $39. So that's pretty cool. And if you want to know what the restaurants are, go to taste30pgh.com. Taste30pgh.com. I'll tell you that some of them are the Lamont, Majorca, Paris 66, Spork. I'm doing the ones I know because there's a whole bunch of ones. God, there's so many restaurants I don't even know about. Where are these restaurants? Jeez. Anyway, just wanted to tell you to do that. Susan, we've talked about this before, but in the science section of the Times today, they talk about the fact that our craze about cleanliness has made us all really sick and has screwed up our immune systems. And they say
that is a good thing I'm a pig.
Yeah, and it says that if you are, one of these persnickety and, always scared of bacteria and this, you know what you're doing? You're creating an environment in your own body where your immune system, which is there for a reason, has nothing to do. And that's bad because an immune system...
And it turns on itself sometimes.
That is correct. So they're looking at all of these autoimmune diseases, and they're thinking where they're seeing them mostly is in places that are now, it's first of all, richer people who are more sort of, living cleaner, I guess, places. And I just want to tell you one of the things that one of the scientists says here. I am afraid to say it, but she said, you should pick your nose and eat it.
No, please.
I know.
I'll pick my nose. I don't want to eat it.
No, I don't either. But it is a way, apparently, of introducing into your body that which we, because your nose is,
it's filtering it out.
Right? Or, if you see a kid eating dirt, put a dollop of whipped cream on it for them because eating dirt is good for them. Stop with the trying to have a germ-free environment. They say that we have minimized the regular interaction with germs, but also with friendly bacteria and parasites that now don't even, we're wiping them out too. And when the immune system doesn't have enough to do, when it does perceive, oh, look, there's something over there, it overreacts often.
And that is why more people now have allergies, more people have chronic immune system attacks, more people have problem with inflammation. Skin allergies have jumped 70% in just the last 20 years. Food and respiratory allergies rising in tandem with income level. The richer you are, the more you might have celiac disease.
Have it or think you have it.
Right, I'll go with that.
No, that's the gluten-free crapola.
I mean, there are more people that have the fashionable illness of the week. Oh, I'm gluten-free. Oh, I have that. Oh, fuck you.
That's my reaction, too. And I know we're going to get a lot of that. You just got a lot of people
I know. We're all in trouble. I don't really mean it. No. But really, I mean, I do have one friend that I can guarantee you, the second that something else blows up she's got it.
Skin allergies have doubled or tripled in industrialized countries in the last 30 years.
And it's all because we think we're so friggin' smart now, avoiding germs, that we're screwing up the immune system, which is there and has evolved to save us from those germs. Let it do its work.
This is a tough sell now because
I gotta say, do you keep hand sanitizer in your house? What's that?
That's Rodney out at the front desk telling everyone in hearing that he has some free tickets to the Pittsburgh Opera, and if they want them, come over to the front desk and get them. I do not see a major rush.
Has anyone ever told Rodney that he might be interrupting something?
I bet if I did tell him, he'd stop, right? It doesn't happen often. Yeah, because he doesn't have to do it between 10 and 11. Susan, I admit to doing hand sanitizers during flu season. I do. When I'm out and about, I often,
Well, I do them. I mean, if I think I've been, if I'm in New York and I ran down the subway and I put my hand on the handrail, yeah.
Well, not in just New York. Any handrail, any public.
Well, I generally don't touch handrails, but I do not, and I do have hand sanitizer in my house. But I have to say, I am not one of those people that just as I walk by, I put it on. First of all, my skin would fall off.
Yeah, because it's alcohol.
I mean, It's really bad for your skin. You're just
right.
You're just dipping your hands in alcohol. It has a drying effect. But no, I've never been like that. I am just and I'm never sick, by the way. Well, I get little things, but I'm not. That's usually due to it's having too much wine more than anything else.
You don't get viruses that often.
I don't get viruses.
Right.
I don't get colds. I don't get.
Okay,
sick in that way.
So your immune system is still functional, and that's good. But geez, guys, this is a hard sell because we've been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed by Madison Avenue because when you think of all the money we spend desperately cleaning our environment
and throwing antibacterial agents into everything,
right?
That doesn't, no.
It's a tough. You can't. I mean, I don't know.
No, really, think about it. And then they sell you probiotics.
Right.
To reintroduce into
That's
your
right.
system everything that you have systematically eliminated. And by the way, taking those every day is not good for you either.
Probiotics.
Just like taking vitamins isn't as good for you as eating the effing food.
Right. I agree. We are a pill popping.
It's all
put it in a. It's all crazy.
Avenue.
Right.
You're peeing out all those vitamins. You aren't even absorbing it. You're just wasting your money.
You tell him, Susan.
No, I'm just so grumpy about this. Everything.
Well, we're a credulous crowd. We have been groomed by Madison Avenue to be consumers and to be scared. They use fear. Scared into all kinds of,
Yeah, like
purchases.
not vaccinating our kids. So now we've had the first case of tetanus in 4 gazillion thousand years,
No.
and measles outbreaks everywhere, and the kid that had tetanus was in the hospital for 8 weeks, cost $800,000 to treat, and the parents refused full inoculations.
Well, there is an epidemic of stupidity. That we know.
I think those folks should be locked up, or at least sent the $800,000 bill.
You are mad today, aren't you, Susan? So
I am mad.
Okay.
Because they tortured their kid. Somebody else is paying for it, and they're saying, and we're going to do it again.
The headline of Paul Krugman.
Yeah, I am mad.
Okay, the headline of Paul Krugman's op-ed today is "The Power of Petty Personal Rage." And
Uh-oh.
but he's focusing on white man rage and anger, and he sees it mostly on the right. I think it's everywhere. I was talking about it a little bit yesterday. This immediate default position we all take to outrage over everything. And you know how depleting that is to do? It's nuts. But he does have some great
No,
examples.
it's why you're supposed to forgive your murderer, because you'll be happier.
Okay. Well, I don't know what I'd be up to that. Well, anyway, if you're murdered, you can't forgive him. He quotes Erik Erikson, the right-wing jerk, saying this. Listen to this rage. At what point do the people tell the politicians to go to hell? At what point do they get off the couch, march down to their state legislator's house, pull him outside, and beat him to a bloody pulp?
Oh, well, that takes so much energy.
Yeah. Can't I just tweet?
Can't I just tweet
I
and
gotta
rage?
get off the couch and pull someone out of a house and beat him to a bloody pulp. But then Krugman says, and what was he freaking out at this level of anger about? Get this. It was that dishwasher detergent doesn't work quite as well without phosphates. I'm not kidding.
No, but you can now, it works just as well
Well,
as
you don't
in
even-
cold water as in hot.
Okay, but you can just imagine, he was saying, and now they're taking the very thing that cleans my dishes out because of some what? Environmental concern. I'm sick, go up and kill all these people, right?
Right.
And then he said,
That's okay. He's going to get an autoimmune disease. I'm tying this all together so neatly, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And then he points out that, that brings us to Tucker Carlson.
Oh, God, does it? Oh.
You know what?
Ugh.
You know what?
Ugh.
Here's what I want to say. Yeah, and that's how I've always felt. But so they've dug up some more stuff, he said, that is totally misogynistic. It's racist as hell. My God, the things he said about the people of Iraq. Jesus. But the idea is they're trying to get him, let me see what he said. I want to get, first of all, he said, we're supposed to be embarrassed about being white men. We created civilization.
a little bit of a narrow world view and an uneducated world view. He says about Iraqis, Iraq's a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys. That's why it wasn't worth invading. They don't use toilet paper and forks. I've got zero sympathy. Well, here's what I want to say. It's a shtick, right? And we're supposed to now, I'm sick of this digging around in people's pasts to find the more outrageous remarks and then taking them down. And I'd be sick of it. The fact that I'm sick of it even as it attacks a scum like Tucker Carlson.
No, I agree with you.
I'm sick of it.
Well, we simply can't apply today's standards to yesterday. We can't.
Well, that is true. But
and it is a question
this mob
of what
thing, though,
we let
Susan.
slip by.
It's a mob. So they're working up, Media Matters is the one that's doing this. And they're trying to take him down. And you get the mob on.
Aren't they a conservative think tank?
I don't think, no, obviously not.
I read that someplace, and I remember going, really?
No, I don't think. This making rage be the be-all and end-all, that rage becomes our politics, that rage and going after people for things they say. If people are saying offensive things, rather than, like in the case of Ilhan Omar, rather than going ballistic and creating a resolution condemning what, I mean, if that's the route you want to go, you'll never do anything but, right? Because people are always saying outrageous
and you're right.
things.
I'm wrong. It's a progressive tax-exempt nonprofit organization
Yeah.
with the stated mission of comprehensively monitoring, analyzing, and correcting conservative misinformation in the U.S. media. So that isn't even their goal. I mean, they aren't correcting anything he said. They're outing him.
Yeah.
And outing is always sort of unattractive.
It is.
I mean, it is.
It is. I mean, I find no one to root for in these kinds of things. I cannot stomach Tucker Carlson. I have forever. I don't need this and dredging up crap he said. Whatever he said last night would be enough to outrage me, right? I don't need this to show that he's a horrible human being.
Right. We can hate him concurrently.
Yeah. But the point is that this kind of demented, and this is what Krugman says, this kind of demented anger is now a true significant factor in American political life, and it's not doing us any good. And so whether our side, Media Matters, is engaging in it, or the other side, I'm sick of it, guys. I can't take it anymore.
I agree. Or at least they should stick to their mission, and then you don't have this icky feeling about it. It's not tattling. It's saying no, that is not a correct statement.
I don't like any
which
mob.
Is what
I don't like to be whipped
I don't like
up
mobs.
into
Well,
it.
you're living in a mob time.
I know. I don't.
The mob is the internet, and
the internet is all about shaming now. So I mean, it's one thing to go after Tucker Carlson, but what we do now, shaming people behaving badly, and that's our side does this all the time. A racist saying things, and then it goes on Twitter, and then we're asked, who is that person? Let's identify them and let's destroy them. That's really what happens on social media now. So there's plenty of horrible people in the world, and I don't want to be part of the mob that's going after them. I mean, it doesn't accomplish anything. Well, might, but it's just turning us all into howling. I don't know. I can't take it. I really can't stand it anymore.
Yeah, well, it's unpleasant, and then the problem is there's no end of things to immediately get you that should rightfully get you angry, frankly.
Well, what Martin Luther King said is, keep your eye on the prize, and This is distraction. This kind of crap is distraction.
No, my prize is that we've got an election every 2 years now, and every single one of them has to count over and over and over, and we've got to quietly take this country, not quietly, we simply have to resolutely take this country back. And then we have a long slog to trying to repair some of the damage. I think some of it can't be repaired.
No, some of it can't. We have done irreparable damage. And
we have taught the rest of the world that the United States is no different than they are. And, one bad person at the helm can bring it down just as easily as any one of them.
Hey, speaking of that, Susan, we only have a little bit of time left. I'm sorry. But, the plane crash thing and the fact that the United States, you just said the United States is no different than they are. Well, we are in that we're not grounding.
Well, we are.
We're not grounding. We're not grounding these Boeing planes. And
the people, no, Boeing is.
Would you want to get on one of those? Would you want to get on one of those?
No, you think I haven't checked to see what I'm flying out of here?
Yeah.
You bet I have.
Well, I was listening to an interview on the way into work. It was a woman, I think she used to be with the FAA or was some kind of involved in air transportation. And she says the FAA essentially lets the big carriers and the manufacturers like Boeing police themselves. And so Boeing has assured the FAA that this is not a systemic problem. And that's so the FAA says, okay. Every other, pretty much, countries are saying, no, put these guys on the ground till we figure out exactly what's happening and, get a fix it. It was something that I can't imagine any American now who has a flight and it's one of those planes getting on it. Why would you? And I think a ton of American Airlines has a ton of these, and I saw a list of who's got them. American's the biggest carrier, and JetBlue, I think. If you're traveling on those, I would. United doesn't.
I'm traveling on American, and you bet I'm checking.
I would definitely check.
I don't know what I'm supposed to.
Seriously, I don't know. I wouldn't get on one. Anyway, so yeah. The Brits just canceled. They said no, they won't let one of those planes fly into British airspace. So I think that kind of thing might eventually mean that American and the others are going to have to ground, because what are they going to do?
Or they use them only domestically and only jeopardize people flying intra-continental.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which means I would be flying one.
Well, you can always
see. I think they're great big planes, so they use those for the long hauls.
Well, and you'll be doing one, so be careful.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't trust our regulatory apparatus anymore. It has been, decapitated and spayed by Republican policies. All right. I'm done. Now I'm in a foul mood.
All right, and you have absolutely professionally activated my travel anxiety.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Judith. I'm stuttering.
Well, don't get on the damn thing if it's the wrong plane.
Okay, we can drive our own damn dog home.
Right, drive back. Take a nice leisurely meander across this great nation. All right.
Sorry,
Susan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, guys, that's it. Tomorrow. See you again.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.